Right, we won't. So, since you are having one more session to complete, I was requested to complete this lesson. Last week I told you to refer this balance of payment lesson by yourself, but since we are having some time, so we can discuss some important things about this balance of payment account. And I am planning to discuss some past status as well with you today within this 2.5 hour session. So then, regarding to balance into the international trade, right? International trade and the transactions that we are doing with the foreign sector, right? So, regarding this lesson, which I have discussed with you, so we have we have discussed about different aspects of international trade, right? Regarding to international trade, so we started with the positive side. Under this positive side, we identify the importance of having international trade transactions for a business, for a country, or economy as a whole. So then there we identify two main advantages and also two prerequisites that economies are considering when engaging in international trade transactions. That is this, what are those two advantages? One is comparative and the other one is absolute advantage. So there we find that before any particular economy before entering into the international trade transactions, they are considering whether they are having comparative advantage and absolute advantage both to engage in transactions, right? So most of the times, more importantly, within these two advantages, in between these two advantages, they should consider about this comparative advantage, whether they are having, those two countries are having comparative advantage, then only they can gain they can gain from international trade. How can we measure the gain? Gain we can measure by considering the world production. In a situation where these comparative and absolute advantage both appear for two countries respectively, for the two countries that they are engaging in international trade, then only they can have, both countries, entire world can have a benefit or advantage of engaging in international trade. So there we, if we consider the trade situation and non-trade situation, trade and non-trade, when only there are comparative advantage and absolute advantage, it will be beneficial to go for trade situation other than being non-trade, right? So this is the positive side. Then last week we discussed about the negative side. Negative side and its precautions to prevent the infant industries. So this is about what is the negative side of international trade, as you remember? The threat and the pressure coming for the infant industry. Right? Infant industries, because most of the companies who are engaging in international trade are having cost advantages and they are well established that we call MNCs. Most of them are MNCs, multinational. So these multinational companies are making threats on infant industries available in different countries. So therefore, to safeguard these people, right, to safeguard these infant industries, governments have a responsibility. Government have a responsibility to safeguard them, that we call what? That we call protectionism. Protectionism. I told you to go through different real world examples that is important for you to understand different protectionism activities that is conducted, that is currently going in the world. Right? Mainly I told you about this US, they are now taking many protectionism activities, not only to safeguard their different industries, but also for different purposes, maybe political reasons, maybe to promote their products. So different reasons now this currently the present world, this USA is engaging in different protectionism. So anyway, even though these people are having different protectionism activities like tariffs, import quota, trade ban, product standardization, so likewise, even though these protectionism activities were appearing present in the world, so they can economies are having different agreements between different countries. For example, Sri Lanka and Pakistan, Sri Lanka and India, to engage in international trade beyond this protectionism activities. That means whatever the actions that they have taken under this protectionism, trade bans, the actions such as trade bans, these import quotas are not going to be applicable for the countries engaging in these free trade agreements that we call FTA, free trade agreement, right? Free trade agreement. So, what are the free trade agreements that Sri Lanka engaged in? We discussed about these what? GSP plus, then what else? Our countries are having different free trade agreements. Lanka, into Pakistan, likewise, different free trade agreements are available that you need to collect information. So then, so this is about this negative side. Then one more side we have discussed. What is that? Yeah. Whatever this transaction to take place in the world, there should be a media that they can exchange these goods and services. That means foreign currencies. But the thing is, we are not using all the countries available in the country is not available. All the countries available in the world is not using the same currency, right? Is not using the same currency. So they are using different currencies. Therefore, in exchanging, they need to think about these exchange rates, right? This exchange rate. Regarding to exchange rate, what is mean by exchange rate? The rate or value of one currency exchange for another, right? That we call exchange rate. So then under that we call exchange, foreign exchange market, forex market. Under these exchange rates, we have identified very important market, which is forex market. So I told you this is very special market compared to the other markets available for goods and services. Foreign exchange market is where these foreign currencies were exchanged, right? Foreign currencies were sold and brought. So then, what is the specialty of this forex market is this is a market where 24 hours operate, 365 days, right? 24 hours operate, 365 days. Regarding to the demand, this market is not having a direct demand. That means foreign currency is not having a direct demand. What kind of a demand is having? By the foreign currency that we call derived demand. Derived demand. Why? Because we are having a derived demand. Because foreign currency will be demanded when only they need to, or the consumer need to purchase goods and services by using foreign currency. So the demand of the foreign currencies are depending on the demand for the products. So therefore, this we call a derived demand. Okay. Then after that, we have discussed how these foreign currencies were getting appreciated and depreciated. Then sometimes these currencies have become stronger and sometimes it is becoming weak based on the exchange rates, based on the fluctuations of the exchange rate. So then we took an example from, as I remember, dollar and euro, then we identify how one currency is depreciating or appreciating over another, how the values are changing. So then, after that, we discuss about two main concepts. This, what are the two? That is regarding to the long run of exchange rates. The concepts coming under long run regarding to the exchange rate. What are those two? One is PPP. What is that? PPP, purchasing power parity. Right? Purchasing power parity. Under purchasing power parity, to exist, the exact purchasing power parity, perfect purchasing power parity is real exchange. Real exchange rate should be one, right? Real exchange rate should be one. We have discussed. So likewise, we have discussed within these the previous two sessions, I think, previous two sessions, this positive side, negative side, and the exchange rate via the exchange media regarding this international rate. So today we are going to discuss one more aspect. Again, it is related to this international trade transaction, and not only for these international trade transactions, but also for all the transactions. For all the transactions, all the deals, all the actions taking place in a country with the foreign sector, with the outer world, right? So by using this account, balance of payment account, we are going to record. We are going to record, right? We are going to record all these different transactions taking different loans, imports, exports, and the money or the foreign currency coming from people who are working uh, in other countries. Likewise, different transactions, loan payments, interest payments, likewise, different transactions that we are conducting with the outer world. So the place that we record these transactions, we call as balance of payment account, right? So, so that is the lesson that we are going to go through. So, you put the topic balance of payment account and write down regarding to the regarding to the regarding to the different transactions regarding to the different transactions taking place with the foreign sector. With the foreign sector. Example, yeah, and imports and exports. Import and exports. Taking loans. Taking loans. Loan repayment. Foreign income. Foreign income. Write down below that. To record these transactions. To record these transactions. report these transactions. And to identify different figures different figures related to a particular time period, different figures related to a particular time period, and account is required. And account is required. This we call balance of payment account. This we call balance of payment account. Write down in new line. Since this balance of payment account summarize this balance of payment account summarize all the international transactions. All the international transactions. This is known as balance of international payments. This is known as balance of international payments. Right. Can you read the slide, please? This the balance of payment account. Balance of payments of a country reveals the final outcome of its economic transaction with the rest of the world over a specific period of time. Therefore, this balance of payment accounting is a statement of all transactions made between entities in one country and the rest of the world over a defined period of time, such as quarter or a year. Right? So, by looking at this balance of payment account, clearly you can see this is macroeconomic related topic. Why we are saying it as a macroeconomic related account, we can have overall understanding about one particular country, how these international transactions are taking place in a particular country, in a particular economy. It provides the big picture, overall viewpoint about international payment account, also known as balance of international payment, summarize all transactions that a country, individual, company, and government bodies complete with individuals, companies, and government bodies outside the country. These transactions consist of imports, exports of goods, services, and capital, as well as transfer, such as foreign aid remittances. The BOP is the single most important aspect of the international economics that matters most in macroeconomic analysis. Right? That matters most in macroeconomic analysis. Write down some question to understand this. The BOP is the single most important aspect of the international of the international economics. International economics. That matters most in macroeconomic analysis. That matters most in macroeconomic analysis. Right. Write down below the statement. Do you agree with the above statement? Do you agree with the above statement? Do you agree with the above statement? And provide explanations. And provide explanations. Write down the try to build an answer for that. So it is saying that the balance of payment account is very important in understanding macroeconomic aspects of the economy. So whether do you agree or dissent? Can you write down a small answer? Not a very lengthy one, point form, based on the things that we discussed so far. What is your age? 18C EXP. Hey, you are. So yeah, you could start. You are. Nothing. Why main reason, main simply what is asking, do you think this balance of payment account is related to macroeconomics or not? That is what the question. So how you should write? What are the things you need to tell? This balance of payment accounts provide different transactions that is taking place. What are the transactions? Example. Huh? Imports, exports, and all the other international payments. International payments. Then when you are clarifying these international payments, you can categorize different international payments. What are the international payments? Mainly imports and exports are becoming international payments. So then what else? Foreign investments, remittances, right? Loan repayment. So all the things are not individual aspect. Individual that all these things are not the transactions that is conducted at individual. So we need to get an overall understanding about these transactions country-wise. Country-wise, regarding to one particular country, what is the amount of remittances received for a country within 1 year or maybe a quarter, right? Particular time period. So then that provides an overall understanding about the economy, right? So you write down in macroeconomics. In macroeconomics, it is trying to in macroeconomics it is trying to have a holistic view. It is trying to have an holistic view about one particular economy. Matching that requirement, matching that requirement, in that requirement, balance of payment account provides in that requirement. And in that requirement, balance of payment account provides the holistic view of of payment account provide the holistic view of international payment. International payment and receipts. And receipts. One particular economy is having within a specific time period. Within a specific time period. Within a specific time period. Right. So that is the simple idea. You can further elaborate by writing down different transactions you are engaging. Like as I told you, remittances, import payments, export and everything. Right? Okay. So we'll read this slide. Can you read this? The BOP is a periodic accounting of international economic transactions just to know the balances of international receipts and payments. All countries having regular economic transactions with other countries prepare periodically the final accounts of their foreign receipts and payment and of their final inflows and outflows arising out of their international transactions. The accounting of the foreign receipts and payments is called balance of payments. Thus, the BOP is the statement of economic transaction of a country with the rest of the world over a period of time. Specifically, BOP can be defined as systematic accounting of all economic transactions between the residents of nation and the rest of the world during a period of time, usually 1 year. Right? So, Sri Lanka also recording these transactions regarding to 1 year. Right. So there are mainly some purposes regarding the requirement, the importance of balance of payment account. You can realize by looking at this. The main purpose, the purpose of BOP account is the same as the purpose of balance sheet prepared by the business firm. So, for what purpose a balance sheet was prepared in a business? Balance sheet can you know that you are experts in preparing balance sheets, right? Now it is not the balance sheet, what is that? Our statement of financial position, right? So why a business is preparing a balance of why business is preparing a statement of financial position?
Understand how the financial numbers are they are at one particular date.
One particular
date.
For one particular date, what are the value of equity available? Right? What are the value of debts available? Right? We divide, even though we are dividing it long term, short term, and identifying different modifying it different ways. Mainly, you are getting an understanding about what is the level of assets, what is the level of equity, and what is the level of liabilities that existing in a firm. So that we call financial position. So likewise, this balance of payments account also provide what are the foreign assets that we are having, what is the value of foreign income that we are having, and what is the value of debts that we have to pay. So likewise, so different, it provides different understanding about these all international inflows, international related inflows and outflows, cash outflows and inflows. So the purpose of BOP accounting is to take the stock of the country's foreign receipts and payment obligations. Regarding to Sri Lanka, what do you think about this balance of payment account? As a developing economy, do you think what aspect is highly impact on this balance of payment account in Sri Lanka as a developing economy? Payments, what type of payments? No, not working capital.
Laundry.
Huh?
Laundry.
Loan repayment, right? So most percentage of balance of payment accounts is private, like a country like Sri Lanka. One is this different value of loans that have taken. The other one is repayment, right? Later on, different we have different loan rentals that we have to pay. So previously we are in a like not previously, now we are like in a loan trap, right? We have taken loans, we have by now taken loans to repay the loans, right? Basically, these loans were provided when it comes to this foreign loan, whatever the parties, financial institution, maybe IMF or else any other countries. What are the parties who are providing these loans? Maybe one particular country. For example, China. China is offering loans. Or else IMF can transfer loans, right? Give loans to the country. For what purpose they are giving this loan? For the country's development. So the people have, people or the government of the country have to take the loans and they have to build or invest those loans in a productive way. Then only they will be able to repay the loan rent. So what has happened in Sri Lanka was, so most of these loans that were taken have been used for what? Used for importing goods and services, right? Importing essential goods and services, right? Like fuel, right? Any other, because Sri Lanka is highly depending on import. We are, for example, if we take, there are very less amount of products we can say as made in Sri Lanka, isn't it? So everything, if we consider about everything that that is there in this classroom, we can say most of the things were imported, right? Or else their materials were imported. So since there are high amount of this import value, what is happening? We need foreign currency. Foreign currency. To pay out these things, what is the way that we can earn foreign currency? Is by maybe foreign investment or maybe export. We have to export and earn foreign currency and we have to import it. But comparing these imports and exports that we call the NX, net export, is it a plus value or a negative value in Sri Lanka? It is a negative value. Why? The imports are huge. Import value is huge. So therefore, the country has utilized the loans in importing the things and also paying loan repay. Right? Loan rental they have taken different loans. Right? Therefore, we call now currently Sri Lanka is in a loan trap. Right? Right? Anyway, due to that reason, balance of payment represent these loans by now. Loans taken and the loan repayment in Sri Lanka. Right? Most of developing countries are having a significant value for these loan payments, and also developed countries also taking loans that also have these values in balance of payment account. But comparing in developed countries, these balance of payment accounts are very strong, right? Are very strong because they are having different export, very high export, right? Export income and the remittance. So their balance of payment, their position regarding to international trade transactions are very strong, right? Then BOP, regarding to first one, BOP accounting serves a very useful purpose as it gives necessary information on the strength and weakness of the country in international trade economic transactions. So by looking at balance of payment account, whether we can decide a particular country is strong or weak in international trade transactions. If we compare about countries like Russia, like China, USA, they are having strong position. They are having strong position regarding this international trade transaction. Why? How we can say because they are in a high position? What information? Where we can take this information to justify that countries are operating well with international trade or international transactions. So that is the balance of payment. By looking at the balance of payment account values, we can decide whether this country is operating well with the transactions engaged with outer world or not. So second, by analyzing balance of payment account of past years, one can find the overall gains and losses from the international economic transactions. It can be ascertained whether composition and direction of international trade and capital movements have improved or caused deterioration in the economic conditions of the country. Right? So that explained by looking at the trends in balance of payment account. We can consider whether in what direction country is going. Right? So, for example, as I told you, this balance of payment account is prepared for a 1 year or decided year, usually a 1 year. So by looking at the trends, what has happened to the export value? What has happened to the import value? Whether it is growing or whether it is decreasing. Whether imports are growing or decreasing. Whether the loan values are growing or the repayment values are growing. So then by looking at, we can see to what direction a country is heading. Right? To a what direction country is heading. Identifying that, so in Sri Lanka, regarding to Sri Lanka, you might heard. So what is the main, this current government and the previous governments are trying to head Sri Lanka towards what side? What oriented economy? Import oriented economy or export oriented? And export oriented economy, right? Export oriented economy. Why the reason? By looking at this international trade or by looking at this balance of payment rates, we can see there is no growth in exports. Right? That's why they are highly focusing on attracting foreigners to Sri Lanka. Right? Attracting foreigners to Sri Lanka. Right? Promoting it, different services provided to the outer world. Right? Oils, promoting export oriented production. Right? Promoting export oriented production. Likewise, the countries can take an understanding what direction the country is heading. Third one, balance of payment statement give warning signals for future policy formulation. If BOP shows persistent large deficit over a period of time, it means persistent growth in international indebtedness. A high BOP deficit may cause financial bankruptcy. So that is what like 2 years Sri Lanka has been experienced. So almost Sri Lanka was in a bankruptcy in that time period. So that is the accurateness of these predictions by the relevant authorities. Right? So mainly these three purposes will be achieved by balance of payment account. Right, then we are moving to the components. So you can see these are the main components of balance of payment account. What are the accounts? One is current account, the other one capital and financial account. So there are some, mainly these two represent the balance of payment account, capital and financial account and current account. These accounts are accounts that is available. These errors and omissions and overall balances are available to adjust these, to make different adjustment for these two accounts, main current account and capital account. There are three components: current account, capital and financial account, and this monetary net foreign assets. Right? These are the 3 components. Others have been used to do adjustment. Right? Write down this components of balance of payment account. Write down these things 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Capital account, capital and financial account. Yes, monetary. Right. So among these different components of balance of payment account, these current account and capital and financial accounting become more prominent. That means the balance of payment account represent more. The value of balance of payment account represent more these current accounts and capital and financial account. Write down under that. Among 5 components above, among 5 components above, among 5 components above, these 2 accounts, current account and capital and financial, these 2 accounts, current account and financial account. Balances, balances represent, balances represent the overall balance of payment account. Overall balance of payments. You can see current transactions and the current account include exports, imports, goods and services, export and import goods and services. So visible and invisible trade. So non-repayable receipts and payment in the current year. Capital transactions represent inflows and outflows of capital, including foreign investment, loan transfers, and foreign exchange. So I told you this errors and omission part is for adjustment. And overall balances means this account, we can see the overall balance of all these accounts. The finally, whether it is a deficit or a surplus. Balance of balance of payment account deficit or a surplus. What does it mean by a deficit? Deficit means if the balance of payment account is at a deficit, payment the value, receipts the value. Receipts value the value, payment value. Payment value is high. Surplus means the receipt value is high. But both we had, whether even though it is a balance of payment account deficit or a surplus, we identify it as one. BOP disequilibrium. Right? Balance of payment disequilibrium. Equilibrium again, the payments will become equal to receipts. But practically, there are no countries that they are having exact payment amount become equal to exact receipt value. So either surplus or a deficit. That we call disequilibrium. What is about these monetary movements? Net foreign assets. Do you think Sri Lanka is having net foreign assets? What do you mean by net foreign assets? You know, some countries are having different, like for example, let's say, let's say USA is purchasing an island somewhere, right? So like China purchases this China, what we call ports in, so they have purchased that land, right? Purchase that land and build their own, right? So likewise, so different countries are investing on foreign assets. It may be not only this land, but also they can invest in different banks or different portfolio in different countries. Unfortunately, Sri Lanka is not in that position. Sri Lanka cannot invest because no the actual situation in Sri Lanka. So they cannot run these to work out. They are in a high deficit. But in developing countries, they are having different investments in different countries. So then net foreign assets, we call in that, right? So we'll go through these, starting from this current account. So in current account, there are mainly 4 parts: trading account, service account, income account, and current transfer account. So read this please. This is just to have an understanding. You don't need to buy have these things. Just have an understanding what is the composition of. Apart from this, then only you will be able to read something. So why you are learning these things, not to calculate this, not to do the calculations. Like you maybe in your business world, you are working in different business places. You are not dealing with these things. You are not preparing current account for the country and everything. What is the purpose of this? You would be able, by learning these things, you would be able to understand the economic position of a particular country. So if you take a central bank report, by looking at different aspects, you can you can decide about the country's position. So for that purpose, you are learning. So probably in your business world, since even though this is business economics, it discusses about how we use these different economic theories to business world. That is not there. So that may be applicable if you are engaging in maybe let's say a company that is highly focused on imports or highly focused on exports. That may be relevant. So you know your transactions that you are conducting, where it will be recorded. What is the contribution of those transactions to the economy? Having that understanding is important. That's why you need to have this understanding. So trading accounts provides imports and exports, mainly goods. What is the difference between this trading account and service account? In the trading accounts, we record only what? Goods export and imports. Goods. Right? Here it is service. Transportation, tourism, information technology, likewise. නිකන් ඔයා ලියාගෙන current account කියලා මෙහෙම බෙදාගන්නකොත් you don't need to write this description. I will upload this. current account, put 4 arrows, trade account, service account, income account, and current transfer. And this is how the balance was created. You can see there are 4 components of current account, trading account, service account, income account, current transfer. So then you can take the balance of all these accounts, then you can add together. Right? So the current account balance will be balance of trading account plus balance of service account plus balance of income account, balance of current transfer account. Right, capital account, read this, the other account. The country's capital account refers to any and all internal capital transfer. The overall expenditures and income are measured by the inflow and outflow funds in the form of investment and loan, following in and out of the economy. Deficit shows more money is flowing out, while a surplus indicates more money is flowing. Regarding the capital account, what value is better, surplus or a deficit? Deficit means there are high foreign investment. Right? There is high foreign investment for a particular economy. But in Sri Lanka, unfortunately, it's a deficit or a surplus. So, two sub accounts, capital account, capital transfers, acquisition. These things you can read out. So these transfers have two things. One part of this capital account is capital transfers. This had two parts, migrate transfers and official transfers. What is meant by migrate transfers? These capital transfers related to all the financial and non-financial assets that migrants bring with them when they move to host country or when they finally return to their home country. This is a kind of private transfer. Official transfers are happening in between countries. China provides some capital funds to Sri Lanka. So those official transfers. Migrant transfers means private transfers. So private transfers may be by a company or maybe by a one particular person. Right? Private transfers mainly current account. We call NGOs. NGO companies are doing these transfers. So the other part is financial account. One is capital transfers, the other one is financial account. Financial accounts have all these loans taken and all the investments. Direct investment, private long term, government long term, portfolio investments, private short term, likewise different aspects are there. So this financial account we can divide into two, long term and short term. So better to have a note on this. Write down. Under capital account, capital account, It comprises of two parts. It comprises of two parts. Capital transfers. Capital transfers. Capital transfers are the capital transfers. One is migrate transfers and the other one official transfers. Migrant and official transfers. And close the brackets, and financial account. Financial account represent both long-term and short-term balances. Both long-term and short-term balances. This account is under this account. All the investments. And long-term and short-term debts. Long-term and short-term debts. Then the final part, disequilibrium of balance of payment. So as I told you, disequilibrium represents not only a surplus but also excess. Right? If the payments are higher than the receipts, it will be called a deficit. If the receipts are higher than the payments, we call surplus. Both either situation, whether it is a surplus or a deficit, both are disequilibrium. But disequilibrium occurs when the overall balance is having either excess or deficit value. Overall account, you can see this overall account. We have seen this overall account. That is a main component. All the balances of this each and every account will be transferred to the overall account. By looking at overall account, we can get an understanding what is the balance of capital account, what is the balance of current account, what is the balance of net foreign investment account. Likewise, these overall account represent all the balance. So overall account, whether to decide whether it is a disequilibrium, whether it is a surplus or a deficit, what account we have to refer. අපි decide කරන්න පුළුවන් මේක disequilibrium මේක මොකද්ද තියෙන්නේ surplus එකක්ද deficit එකක්ද by looking at the overall account. So overall account is providing whether the overall account is the account that provides overall understanding about balance of payment. Balance of payment account. This balance or equilibrium is only in accounting sense because deficit or surplus is restored with the help of capital. So there we have discussed, I have given you different consequences of excess balance of payment account and the deficit of balance of payment account. and figures. Right, this is an example of the balance of payment account in Sri Lanka. Can you have a look? You can see here. The current account balance is what? Minus 12, which is a surplus or a deficit. Deficit. Right, reason? Now you should be able to read this. That's what the learning. Then my current account is negative. Right? So that means what? Regarding the current account payments are higher or receipts are higher. Payments are higher. Right. But we can't say this is only due to import and export. This is only due to import and export. Why? You know, now there are different aspects. These trade balances. By looking at this, trade balance also becoming negative. This primary income account receipts and the income, foreign income also become negative. Here, all the other secondary incomes plus values, services plus value. So that means this negative value of current account is dominated by what? Dominated by what? Negative එකක් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ ඇයි? Due to primary income account, negative value of primary income account and trade. Right? මේක plus කරන්න නම් then what we should think of? We should think of promoting this trade balance. Trade means what? Negative වෙලා තියෙනවා. Now you understand. Trade balance is negative means trade account මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? Huh? Net export. Not only, but that is not relevant for the services. Negative වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මොන account එකද? The account that record goods import and goods, not the services. Service account එක okay. You can see it is a plus value. Right, but it is negative value is regarding to goods. So then as policymakers think of promoting exporting goods to convert this into a plus value. Then this balance will become a plus value. Right, primary income. This is some previous figure 2017-18, but you can refer recent figures. There is no big figure. This is worse compared to this time period. Here, this part is from here onward finance capital account. Can you see? Capital account and financial account balances are there. As I told you, this is a minus value for these. Investment, other investment, reserve and likewise. This is an example of balance of payment. So you can refer this in central bank report. It is mentioned. Right. I think even though this is a somewhat theoretical part, that was very interesting. That you that is included in your syllabus. Why it is included? That the reason I told you. What is the reason? You should have understanding to analyze the economic position regarding to international by looking at balance of payment. Then you can see without by looking at this negative value. If someone challenge you, this is due to this is solely due to goods and services, then you can defend yourself. This current account is not representing not only goods and services, but also there are some other terms. Regarding Sri Lanka, the service account and the secondary income is plus value. Negative value is regarding this due to this trade goods export and import of goods and the primary. Likewise, I think you got that understanding from this session. Right? So that is what we have to discuss under this balance of payment. Right? We'll have a break and we'll discuss some past paper questions that will be beneficial for you. And I will upload this to your LNS, right? And can you try this question? This is a part question. You can take a picture of this. How many marks you have to get to pass? You know? This first exam. Yes. How many marks you have to take to get pass? To consider you as a pass student, how many marks you have to? Here, 40. I don't. Huh? I don't. 40, 40. 40. 40 marks. That means only for ESC. Yeah? Not in combined. Not in combined. Because you have another evaluation. What is that? CA. Then don't think that you have scored 80 marks for CA. Then you already pass. Right? No, right? 80 marks means divided into 2. Make it CA and then ESC also 100. CA also 100. Critical assessment also 100. Then divide into 2. So then, that means if you're not aware that you should take 40 marks separately for ESC, you might think you have already passed. Because if you got 80 means that is 40. That is 40, not 40. You have to go through one particular subject. To complete one subject, you have to secure 40 marks of ESC as well as 40 marks of CE by completing all components. That is the policy. Right? So therefore, here you have to take 40. So when writing these answers, when writing the answers for 40 for your semester examination, first of all, what you do is you have to select the questions that you can secure that 40 marks first. And that means other than going in the order of questions, you should take 2 questions or pick questions that you can easily secure marks. So, me also, when preparing the papers, we are preparing the papers for, we don't prepare the papers that in a manner that any question can be answered. So, this level of these different questions are different. Right? Evaluations are different. So, there may be basically easy questions as well as hard questions. That's how the paper is balanced. Right? Paper should not include all the hard questions, all these questions. So should maintain the balance between these two. Clever student like you, maybe all the questions may be easy. But according to I am talking about usual regular student. Right? Average student. We call average. Average student can easily secure 40 marks if he is having an average student. So therefore, selecting that question is important. Right? Therefore, write the answers for the questions that you can easily secure the marks. So when we doing the marking, most of the people are struggling with these calculations and the questions that is taking time. Due to that reason, they have lost the time. They have lost the time to answer these questions. So then they are writing down very simple form answers for the question. For my paper, for example, that will not be included in your paper. When I am preparing paper, I am putting a short note question at the end. So that is the mainly 6 questions, right? So they are, I feel like some students are struggling with very hard questions, and then for that short note question, they are writing down only 2 lines to explain whatever the given term. That is not enough to get 5 marks. So then they are losing marks. That question also not 100% correct. Right? Therefore, be smart in the exam. I'm telling this because this is the first ever exam that you are facing in your degree. Maybe some people or some people no. This is an extension that you might face this different exam in English medium. That will not be a big deal. So anyway, this is the first exam that you are facing in this degree program. This matching with the degree level. Therefore, first my advice is to first read the question paper and pick the easy question. Whatever the subject. Identify what are these 40 marks given by the lecturer for you to pass this exam. Identify what are the 40 marks given by lecturer, right? Where the 40 marks is available given by the lecturer for you to pass this exam. Select that one. Be smart to select those questions and write the answer. Then you are passed in. Then after that, secure the additional. Right? So that's what my instructions, advice. I think for you this international related lesson question will be a so that one part. Same format question will be appear. So far we have discussed 2 questions. One is during the lesson, right? One is during the lesson. This is another one.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, is there any question from the balance of payment in this economics part, sir?
Yeah, there will be like this. Here you can see question number 1. Briefly explain 3 objectives of preparing balance of payment account for an economic 4 marks.
Yeah.
That type of a question will be there, not a lengthy one.
Okay, sir.
Since we have discussed it today, by taking
Yeah.
1 hour, just have a rough understanding. So then that will be tested.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
To prepare balance of payment account, but to to get an idea about your understanding about these different components, right? Right, according to my experience, right? According to my experience, going through the recent past papers, right? Going through these past papers prepared by me as well as other lecturers. So there are around 4 economics lecturers in this institution. So by looking at these past papers prepared by them for over like 10 years, right? So mainly this first question is somewhat important question that you can easily secure, but you should write the answers precisely, right? You should write the answers, exact answer, right? But so we'll do a first question, question number 1 also. This question number 1, in every paper, you can write down having an overall understanding about this business. Right? Overall understanding එකක් එක්ක ලියන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි question number 1. If you are smart enough to identify what to write and what should not be right, so then you can easily secure this. During markings, what I experience is for the first question, the students are writing everything they know, taking around 1 hour to answer that one. And they are in trouble with time management. So think of that as I am giving you some hints for you to get good results. So when you writing these answers, you can always consider about the number of marks allocated. Based on that, you decide about the content of your. If it is 4 marks, don't write like 1 pages and pages. Just write down it by using half of the page. That is enough for 4 marks. Right? Half of the page, because there are 3 objectives. And for each objective, you can explain it by 3 lines. So then you can together, you can around 12-15 lines, you can complete your 4 marks. So a question like this, differentiate, then you can easily use a table. That is the proper way that you can use. You can easily use a table to differentiate. Differentiate between appreciation and depreciation of domestic currency against foreign currency. Suppose you answer with an example for each. Right? අපි අර ගත්ත යුරෝ වල example හරිද? ඉතින් dollar appreciated, euro depreciated. Right. Starting with that, first one, briefly explain 3 objectives of preparing balance of payment account for an economy. One is to have an overall understanding about international payments and receipts. to have overall understanding about international payments. So then you can, by 2 lines, 3 lines, you can write down what are those payments. Imports, export, likewise, loan taken, remittances, likewise, that is. The other one about the trends, right? So by looking at the balance of payment account, you can have an understanding about the trends of the economy regarding to these international trade transactions, right? International trade transactions. So where the country is heading, whether it is towards export-oriented economy, whether already it's a export-oriented economy. So likewise, different directions will be provided. The third one is for the policymakers. Policymakers can have an understanding about the economy. So because then further you can explain the BOP account provides warning signals about different figures, different balances. By different balances, you can have a warning signals. For example, by looking at right here, I extracted the balance of payment account in Srilanka during 2018-17. There you can see warning signals. We can, by reading it, you can get it. The current account is negative value due to what reason? Due to goods imports, the trading account. Trading account negative. That's a signal. So for policymakers, it is an account where signals were, the warning signals were taken. These are the 3 objectives you can write. That's enough. So differentiate between appreciation and depreciation of domestic currency against foreign currency. Suppose you answer with an example for each scenario. What is meant by depreciation? Before that, you should explain the exchange rate here, right? Even though the word is not there, you should know this is asking about the exchange rate. Whether what is happening to exchange rate. So when it is foreign currency is depreciating, what is happening to exchange rate? When the foreign currency or domestic currency is depreciating, what is happening to exchange rate? Exchange rate එක වැඩි වෙනකොට අපේ currency එක මොකද වෙන්නේ? අනිත් currency එක මොකද වෙන්නේ? Exchange rate එක අඩු වෙනකොට අපේ currency එක මොකද වෙන්නේ? අනිත් currency එක මොකද වෙන්නේ? Then you have to exchange. First of that, on top of that, you have to write down what foreign exchange rate. Because even though the word is not there, this is asking about exchange rate. Exchange rate එක නිසා නෙමෙයි කරන්නේ. Calculate when depreciate or appreciate, it is depending on foreign exchange. So then you have to write down the exchange rate is the rate where one currency is exchanged with another. Simply. Foreign exchange rate is the rate where one currency is exchanged over another. When the exchange rates are increasing, what happens? Exchange rate එක වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ domestic currencies depreciating, foreign currencies appreciating. Hey, exchange rate වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ you have to pay more domestic currency to get foreign currency. Right? That you have to write. When the exchange rates are increasing, ඒවා කියනකොට ඔයාලට පුළුවන් අර විතර දාලා කියන්නේ exchange rates කියලා දාලා increasing, exchange rate increasing, then currency depreciating what to be. This is foreign currency. This is domestic currency. Exchange rates are increasing. Then foreign currency is appreciating, and domestic currency is depreciating. Domestic currency is depreciating. Just take example. Take an example. In Sri Lanka, the dollar rate has increased. That means rupee has depreciated, dollar has strengthened. That's it. Other way around, appreciation. When the exchange rates are decreasing, right, domestic currency is appreciating, Foreign currencies depreciate. Automatically, 4 marks. Think that you can't write an answer without mentioning exchange rates here. Well, exchange rate to answer you can't write the proper answer. The next one is very easy one. We have done a complicated one previous. Suppose that New Zealand can produce 60 million kilograms of apple and 30 million kilograms of plums per acre. Spain can produce 80 million kilograms of apple and 50 million kilograms of plums per acre. Differentiate between the theory of comparative advantage and absolute advantage in interest. So this is not related to this mini case. This is based on your what is comparative advantage, what is absolute. We have discussed it multiple times. You can explain either by using cost approach or the input approach. If it is input approach, you have to consider about the same level of input. By utilizing same level of input, one country can produce more than the other country. That country has absolute advantage. Then the other way around, what is opportunity cost? When two countries are producing two products, the country that is producing one particular product with less opportunity cost is having the comparative. That's write down very simple. So then you have 4 marks. Then for your answer, you can put some icing by saying that when countries are engaging in international trade transaction, both comparative and absolute advantage should be considered to decide whether trade or non-trade is better or not. Then which country has the absolute advantage? Producing apples and plums. 4 marks. Then for that you have to draw this table. Apples and plums. New Zealand and Spain. This matrix you have to do, otherwise you can't start. New Zealand can produce 60 millions of apple. 60. And 30 millions of plum. Spain can produce 80 and 50. Then you write it down answer, you don't write like New Zealand apple, Spain plums. Just write down. If it is New Zealand, always justify. New Zealand, which country has the absolute advantage? What products they have the absolute advantage to produce? Let's say apple, regarding to apple, which country has the absolute advantage? Spain. The plums, which country? Again Spain. Both Spain. Right? You can write down. Both producing apple and plums producing absolute advantage of producing apple and plums is for Spain. Is for Spain because by using the same level of resources. By using the same level of resources, same level. same level of resources. Spain is producing more output. Spain is producing more output regarding to both products. That is what the answer, 4 marks. Then which country has the comparative advantage of producing apple and plums? දැන් බලන්න ඕනේ මොකක්ද? Opportunity cost. එතන 60 බෙදීම 30යි. 60 divided by 30. 2. Here it is 0.5. Here 80 divided by 50. Here then 0 point, sorry, 1 point. So see higher in 1.50 divided by 80. 0 point. Higher, 0.6. 6 ගානක් එන්නේ. හරි දැන් ඔයාලට බලන්න පුළුවන් මේකේ කම්පැරිටිව් එක. Producing apple, which country is having comparative advantage? New Zealand. Producing plums. Okay. මේ දෙක අතර round කරන්න. Right? You need to draw this matrix and answer this matrix and this answer to get 4 marks. Based on the above answer, comment on which country should specialize in producing each product. Okay. Now, writing down this answer, right? Don't write, as I said to you, don't write New Zealand apple should produce apple, Spain should produce plums. So, I always tell you to look at the mark, 5 marks, right? 5 marks. So then you have to consider, even though the absolute advantage, even though by looking at the answer, very important, by looking at this, even though the absolute advantage of producing both products, okay, because they went then. So, but when you got that,
This is, what is the question?
for this and this, New Zealand, when New Zealand can produce either 60 of what? 60 of apple or 30 of plums. 30 million, if you forget about millions, 60 or 30. Then when how can you calculate the opportunity? You have to divide when they got if it is regarding to here, you have the function for calculating this is opportunity cost of producing plums here. මෙතන ගමු New Zealand වල plums. Opportunity cost of producing plum. Then උඩට ගන්න මොකක්ද? The number of units you sacrifice divided by the number of units you decide. Number of units you sacrifice divided by number of units you decide to produce. Attack sacrifice කරනවා 30ක් වගේ. එහෙනම් එකක් හදන්න කියන ඔයාලට. නේ? attack sacrifice කරනවා 30ක් හදන්න. එහෙනම් එකක් හදන්න. එක apple ගෙඩියක් හදන්න. එක apple ගෙඩියක් හදන්න. sacrifice කරන්න රුපි බිලියන් දෙකක්. බලන්න දෙපැත්තට දාලා 2.5 දාලා. නේද? ඒක clearly සමහර වෙලාවට පැටලෙන ඊට පස්සේ දැනේ පැටලුණොත් පොඩ්ඩක් හිඳලා බලලා ආයෙ බලන්න. හරි මේකෙදි based on the above answers look at the word very important thing is given based on the above answers මෙන්න මේ answer වල refer කරලා තමයි you have to tell. Then how you can refer by looking at the absolute advantage even though producing both products. When producing both products, absolute advantage is for Spain. For Spain, considering the absolute, considering the comparative advantage. This New Zealand is having producing comparative advantage of producing apple, and Spain is having comparative advantage producing plums. That you have to write down. That is a must, because that is saying based on the above answers. You have to write down. Then your justification. By engaging in international trade transactions, the most relevant thing to consider is comparative advantage, not the absolute advantage. Right? Considering the absolute advantage, both countries can go for terms of trade, TOT, because each countries are specialized in producing two products. Then New Zealand should produce apple and export them to Spain, and Spain should be specialized in producing plums and export to. Writing down New Zealand dash apple, Spain dash plums will attract only 1-2 marks. Right? You have to relate. That's why you need to read the question based on the above answers. Comment කරන්න above your බලලා. I told you we discussed one question from the first one. Same paper we can take. You can see easy 10 marks here at the first question. So assume that you are currently employed as an operation manager of a leather product company, leather product manufacturing. Explain in brief how would you apply your knowledge of business economics to this organization? Yes. ඒක නිකන් තේරෙනවා නේ කියන්නේ. ෆෝන් එකේ ගන්න පිළියන්නත් පුළුවන්. How can you write an answer for this? Then when writing that answer, you should write down decision making, different decisions. You have to pick some decisions that is related to your organization. So I will tell you very easy two decisions. One is this production decision. One is production decision. Right, you might learn. Right, I will be revising this. Production decision. Regarding the production decision, there are three sub-decisions. Optimal level of output, shutdown point, right? Optimal level of output, shutdown point, and the total profit at optimal level of output. That is one. Another decision is pricing decision. Pricing decision. How to price the product. How to price the product. When pricing a product, what you need to consider? According to business economics, it says the price should at least cover the average variables of the product. Price should cover average variable of the product. If not, the company cannot survive in the short run or long run. Right? Then you have to point out two decisions and then you have to. Right? Many of the people writing answers, but in their answers, there is no decision. But asking about this, someone make the business economics channel. No point. Asking the question, how would you apply knowledge of business to this organization decision? You write down one decision, 4 marks, write down one decision, production. When deciding optimal level of output, then shutdown point, and the total profit at optimal level of output, we need business economic concept. When deciding optimal level of output, it is the output level where marginal cost become equal to marginal revenue. MC equal MR. Then the other one, whether shutting down a business, you have to consider whether the price of the product is covering up the average variable cost. That's it. Then total profit. When considering total profit, how can we find price minus average cost multiplied by optimal level of output? Right? Then the total profit is the average cost AC. You might learn this. So then you would have learned this. AC average cost, not the ABC. Because AC is the, how can we calculate it? Average cost. TC divided by TC. TC means FC also included. So there you can see. Then pricing. When pricing a product, when as the operation manager, when deciding the price of the product, the price should be higher than its average variable cost. That's it. economics rules තියෙන්න ඕනේ. MC equal MR ABC ඒ වගේ rules තියෙන්න ඕනේ. decisions තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එච්චරයි. That is the content. Assume that the leather products have elastic demand. How would you make pricing strategy to increase its total level? Justify your. So what is elastic demand? Elastic demand means what? When the price changes, the demand changes. Sorry, quantity demand changes more than that. When the price changes, quantity demand changes more than that percent. So the quantity demand is dominating the total revenue, not the price. So there are three principles of economics are mainly price effect and quantity effect. Which effect is dominating? So in this elastic situation, when the price is changing, quantity is changing more than that percentage. That means not the price effect. The income TR is dominated by the quantity. TR is dominated by the quantity. Then as the firm, other than the price, this firm should consider about the number of units produced to increase the TR. TR වැඩි කරනවා Q ප්‍රමාණය තමයි වැඩි කරනවා. Price එක වැඩි කරලා because the TR dominated by the quantity. 2 marks. It's a area. Imagine that manufacturing of leather products, very easy question. Imagine that manufacturing of leather products requires animal skins, chemicals and as variable input and machines as fixed input. Identify and differentiate short run from long run in production referring to the above production inputs. Short run and long run in you know theory of production. In long run and short run, you are deciding whether it is short run or long run based on what? Based on what? You are deciding it based on number of years. No, variability of inputs. The time period where all the inputs become variable is the long run. The time period where all the time period where both variable and fixed inputs are available is the short. So regarding to this, animal skin, chemicals and variable inputs both are changing whether it is long run or short run. But when it comes to the fixed inputs, machines. So in this business, you can write down, assume that in this business, at the initial point, they have started with the one machine and continue operation in the short run by increasing these animal skin, chemicals and the other variable inputs. So when after reaching to the maximum capacity of this business, so there will be a requirement to increase fixed input. There will be a requirement to install another machine. Because in the short run capacity has exceeded. So then when these fixed inputs have been changed, these companies move into the long running production. That's it. Okay. So you are right. Assume at the initial point this. I have to refer you are employed the operation manager of leather brand. Assume that this company has started with one machine. So in the short run, production has increased by increasing variable input, but not the fixed input machine. So therefore, that time period is short run. That's it. Then there will be a requirement due to this factory or whatever the firm is exceeding its capacity. Because the Q now they have reached to the maximum capacity. They need to produce more. At that point, increasing variable input will not going to be work. Why? The fixed machine is not available. Then they have to go for another machine. So that time period where that firm is trying to install another machine, then this company is moving to the long run production because fixed machine as the fixed inputs also change, become variable, and the other variable anyway change. That's 4 months. So this is the paper prepared by me. Anyway, you will be having a different question because your lecture is a different one, but the content is same. As I told you, I'm bringing this question to explain you because there is a trend of going this way for the first question. So then by doing this first question and my question, you can be a pass student. Then the remaining part you can do based on your dedication. Here filling a table. That is very easy. Right? How to calculate AFC? How to calculate AFC? TFC divided by Q. That's AFC divided. AVC. How can you calculate TVC? Total variable cost තියෙනවා AVC වලට මේක බෙදනවා මේක. You can average total cost. Average total cost. You have to take this TC divided by Q. ATC. Then MC. How to calculate MC? Delta TC divided by delta Q. එතකොට මේක එන්නවනේ මේ අතර වැල්යු. අයි මේක දිගට අතර වැල්යු දාන්න. Delta TC 100 to 190. Delta TC is 90 divided by Q. Get 1. But this is very easy because this is cost. If it is production, that is change. එහෙම දෙන්නත් පුළුවන් table. Total production නම් මේක TP මේක AP TP MP න TP තියෙනවා MP AP න AP කොහොමද වෙන්නේ? Average production. TP divided by average production. Tell me how to calculate average production in short term. TP divided by Q. TP කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Q මනිලා. TP කියන්නේ Q මන. TP divided by L. Changing. TP divided by changing. So that will be little bit different. That will be helpful for you, right? In production side, AP, TP, total production, average production, marginal production, හොයද්දි බෙදන්නේ මොකෙන්ද? L වලින්, variable වලින්, changing variable. When calculating cost, you dividing it by Q. That's the difference. That is input factor, this is cost factor. ඔයාලට මේක AP දීලා දුන්නා නම් Q වලින් බෙදලා තමයි දාන්නේ. ඒතකොට මේ ඔක්කොම දාලා කියන ටේබල් එකක් පිරීම හරිය ලේසි ලකුණු අටයි. Assume that company current output level is 10 units and they are maintaining 15% profit margin. What is the price of the product of total profit loss when producing that output? Here. Output level is 10 units. Here the price is. Ten units නම් බලන්න TP නේද මෙතන තියෙන්නේ 1300. 1030 plus 150. 115%. Make a TP, TC. Total cost is TVC plus TFC plus TVC. When producing 10 units, total variable cost is total cost is 1030. Right, 1030. 1030 multiplied by 115%. Here. 1030 multiplied by 115% is here example numerical form. Here the diagonal is the right part. 50.85. එකසේ 53.1යි ගානක් තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් 51.5යි. 154.5. ඔව් 154.5. ඒක දාන්සේ. උගා දාන්සේ. හා? නෑ. අදහන්නේ what is the price of the product and the total price මොකක්ද? කීයද price එක? 1000. එයි. 180 මොකටද කියන්නේ? මේක කීයද? දැන් මෙතන 1030නේ TC profit margin එක කීයක් එකතු වෙනවද? 115ක් එකතු වෙනවා. ඒතර ඒ කියන්නේ 100 ධන 15 115යිනේ. කොහොමද? ඒතර කීයද එන්නේ 100? 154.5යිනේ. මේකද price එක. මොකක්ද කරන්නේ? What is the price of the product? Product එකේ price එක කීයද? මේ කීයක් හදද්දිද? 10ක් හද. output level එකට එන්නේ. TP 10 නේ. එතකොට මේ තියෙන්නේ total selling TR මේ තියෙන්නේ. 10ක් විකුණනකොට ආදායම මේ. හා? නෑ. profit එක තමයි 1030 වැඩි කිරීම 15 වෙනවා.
ඒකට කොස්ට් එක ඇඩ් කරන්න
1015 වැඩි කරා. කීයද? 54.5. 1030 කියන එක කැලේ ගන්න ගාම කරන්නේ 1030 100ට 115 වෙන්නේ. ඒකෙන් එකයි එන්නේ. දැන් 184 කියන්නේ මෙතන උත්තරේ ඉන්නේ 1184. මේගොල්ලෝ මට බොරු කියලා තියෙනවා. 1184 4.5 නේද? හරිනේ. ඕක කොහොම ගන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් මේක 100%න් වැඩි කරලා ඒන උත්තරේ මේකට එකතු කරන්න. ඒත් ඒ ගන්න ඉන්නේ. කොහොමද බයර් වෙන්නත් එපා. දේශීයවත් තියෙනවා ඒක වැඩි කරලා ගන්න. ඒක ඔයාලට ප්‍රොෆිට් එක වෙනම ගන්න පුළුවන් නැත්නම් කෙලින්ම ගන්න. හැබැයි මේකෙන්නේ 1184 කියන්නේ for 10 products because TP is 10 නේ. Total production 10. When producing 10, this is the value. අහලා තියෙන්නේ price of a product. Price of the product කියන්නේ මේක බෙදන්න ඕනේ 10. ඒතර කීයද එන්නේ? 118. 18යි 44. The price එක කියනවා. එහෙම TP නේද මේක දෙන්නේ. TC නේ. හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. Total cost. හරි. ඒක තමයි නෝ. Now total profit dollars when producing that output level. එතකොට ඒක හොයන්න පුළුවන් 1184.5 minus ඒ කියන්නේ නැත්නම් අර 100ට 5 වපුරා ගන්නවා කියලා. හරි. Next one. Final one. What is the minimum price that you should charge to continue the business at this output level? Actual price is 180. That's okay. What is the minimum price that you should charge to continue the business at this output level? Justify your answer with an economic explanation. What is the price? The higher price charge කරන්න ඕනේ minimum price එක. What is the rule? Price should equal or higher than AVC. Next, now go to this one. Look at AVC. TVC තියෙනවා AVC දීලා නැහැ. අන්න AVC හොයාගන්න. AVC කොහොමද ගන්න? 930 divided by 10. 930 AVC equal 930 divided by එතන කීයද price එක? 90. 93 වත් charge වෙනවා නම් තමයි business එක continue කරන්නේ. No issue. කීයක් charge කරනවද? Okay. Right? Clear? So that is how you can write. I think you can take that 25 mark very easily. Okay. So there in the exam there will not be a question like same, but the same concept. So we need our business importance of business economy and digital. මේක නම් නැති වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right, studied all these papers, not my things I know I include, but all the other lecturers also doing that. Not like this, some lecturers ask a very simple question as this was said. What is mean by business economics? Likewise, that type of question also were there. But these are not manageable. Right? Therefore, that's why I picked this question to discuss with you. Okay. I think that's enough for the day. And there will not be any lectures for this, even though they do, I will not do, and that is over. I think your sessions also is over by this week. Next week, all the sessions are completed. In good luck.